This team is pathetic. They don't stand a chance against the Chinese. Not one single goddamn shot in hell. It'll be an embarrassment they'll never, ever live down for the rest of their miserable lives until they die.
This is what you got.
I want to say a few words to everybody here about victory.
As a 24-year-old white dude on the internet who is trying to grow his channel, reviewing a series like the Boondocks sounds like a bit of career suicide. I mean, this show is so fondly remembered by the black community for the issues and stereotypes it portrays and oftentimes subverts, that no matter what I say about it, it may potentially be considered offensive to someone. It's really a shame because the last thing I want to convey with my channel is any sort of hateful speech to any groups of people, except fucking Dave's, so this puts me in a bit of a dilemma. However, I wanted to risk my reputation and review an episode of the show because the show is making a comeback this year, plus I really want more people to give it a watch. It's not a show for everyone, but it has plenty of social commentary, alongside some really clever jokes, and a powerful critique on certain aspects of black culture that I feel like it's worth examining. Plus the art style is incredibly gorgeous. I mean, compare it with some of the art styles for other Adult Swim shows. With all of that said, I'm going to tread the water and review one of the least racially sensitive episodes because I don't want to misspeak on anything I might not be as well informed about as I could be. It does still happen to be my favorite episode of the show, however, so I am fine with just reviewing this episode for now. Today we're going to be talking about The Red Ball, the third episode in the third season and the 33rd episode overall. That's a lot of threes. This is the episode that turned the Boondocks into a sports anime, and the episode that made me fall in love with the visual storytelling the show does. So here's some context for the series. The Boondocks was originally a comic strip that ran from 1999 to 2006, and would receive a sudden revival in 2019, 13 years after it had ended. This revival is highly speculated to be due to the fact that the series is getting itself a reboot later this year, so starting the comic strip back up definitely made a sense from a marketing standpoint. The series stars the Freeman family who just moved to the new town of Woodcrest, Maryland. The family consists of Huey, Riley, and Robert, three characters with completely differing personalities that make up a pretty dysfunctional family. Huey is a cynical left-wing leaning extremist who believes many things around him tie into some sort of conspiracy, even if there is a more reasonable explanation.
Excuse me, everyone, I have a brief announcement to make. Jesus was black, Ronald Reagan was the devil, and the government is lying about 9/11. Thank you for your time, and good night.
Although he is often extreme in his worldviews, he is usually portrayed as the more level-headed character in many of the situations the family find themselves falling into.
Prozac can lead to suicide.
But lemonade can lead to smiles, which can cause dimples.
Dimples? I'll take two.
He's also the most skilled fighter out of the main cast. He's actually had weapons training and is trained in several different martial arts that we get to see over the course of the series. Riley, Huey's younger brother, is effectively a gangster wannabe who idolizes gang violence and anything thug related to it in a very extreme degree. He's also a complete pushover who is usually the butt monkey of the show. Many of his plotlines involve him getting involved in matters way over his head when he idolizes one dangerous person to the next, more dangerous individual. He does, however, have one of the most heartwarming scenes in the series.
It's so beautiful. Thank you, boy.
And lastly, we have Robert, the boy's granddad who only wants to live in peace with his money and any hot ladies he can find. Unfortunately, with how eccentric Huey and Riley are, it makes his dreams of peace and quiet impossible to fulfill. The series also stars all the batshit insane residents of Woodcrest. The only one who is really important for the episode I'm reviewing is Ed Wuncler I. He's a man whose family has held control of Woodcrest since the 19th century. He's also a very morally corrupt businessman who would sell his son for the right price. He's the cause of a lot of issues that the protagonists have to face throughout the series, especially in this episode. The episode opens up with Wuncler having lunch with a Chinese rival of his. This isn't just a simple lunch though, as Mr. Long Dao wants to collect on some old debts Wuncler owes him. Unfortunately, Wuncler doesn't have the money to pay all of his debts back, but he's a pretty crafty guy, so he takes advantage of a long-time gambling addiction Long Dao has. This causes him to make a bet on the kickball game. If the Chinese win, they own Woodcrest. But if Woodcrest wins, all the debts are immediately forgiven. And I'm gonna be honest, this is the silliest excuse I've ever seen to get an episode plot started, but I love the absurdity of it so much. So due to the danger of the bet, Wuncler wants to get the best kickball player he knows on his side, Huey Freeman. Unfortunately for him and the town, a previous scheme of Onceler's caused Huey to vow he would never play the game again after crippling a little girl. Fortunately, Onceler is just an ass and the girl wasn't actually injured. Well, seriously injured. That has to hurt. However, finding this out just makes Huey mad and vowed to not play for Onceler, which is understandable. This causes Onceler to reveal the stakes of the game. And the stakes do rattle Huey a little bit, but he's still not convinced until he meets Long Dao's granddaughter, who is searching for a worthy opponent to play kickball against. So Huey, being a good guy, finally decides, yeah, he'll play. But that's only the first roadblock in this wild episode. Onceler originally has a super team set up, but due to various comedic circumstances, they can no longer play. This causes Huey to have to get his own team set up. And, well, they kinda suck. Unfortunately, that's all they've got, so the game begins and things are looking pretty bleak as the Chinese start off with a pretty strong lead, as they are cheating. Now, normally this is where you're supposed to root for the heroes to overcome the cheating, but it's kinda revealed Onceler was also wanting to cheat, and the ref just preferred China's money. So, the only way to make things fair is to obviously... Wait a minute, what's this say here? Kill the ref. Huh? And that's exactly what happens. Did I mention how much I love this episode? They end up getting a fair and impartial judge, mostly, to help even things out, and it does. The game starts going more smoothly until halftime, when Huey meets up with Long Dao's granddaughter. She gives him a sob story about how if they don't win the game, they'll be imprisoned. Huey, not being a monster, decides to throw the game. And in the second half, things get worse for Woodcrest as the Chinese are taking advantage of Huey's kindness, until they make one mistake that changes everything.
喂，为什么那大头呆忽然变这么shit？您告诉他，如果我们输了，我们全部都去做监牢。他相信那吗？大笨蛋！
不喜欢人家讥笑我。
他刚才。
Okay, I'm just popping back in here to say there aren't a lot of American shows that can hype me up, but this scene here is always just something so amazing to watch. So Huey is back in the game and he is stronger than ever. We get to just see him crush the Chinese team single-handedly up until the point where it gets to the last inning. And the last inning is maybe one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen on Adult Swim. You know how I said this episode turned the series into a sports anime earlier? Well, this part of the episode turned the series into a fucking fighting anime. And as an anime fan, I could not be more hyped. And, oh my god, I'll just let you watch. And with that, Woodcrest ends up winning the game and saving the town, as all our heroes are resting a very well-deserved rest. I hope you can see why this episode is just so hyped to me and why I love it so much. It's made with such love and has such cool visuals and such an amazing story that I can always come back to watch it over and over. There is one little snag in the episode though. Earlier, Long Dao's granddaughter ends up being the one to convince Huey to play.
Well, the opponents are nothing. We must have the ultimate contest to settle once and for all who is the best.
I'll play, but I'm not interested in your ultimate contest. It's just a simple game of kickball.
If she would not have given him that talk about needing a worthy rival, he wouldn't have joined the game and they would have won. They really kinda screwed themselves out of it. So, you know, it's always nice to see the villains screw themselves out of their own victory. And that's my only really kind of complaint about the episode. But I hope you guys liked this review, and I hope I did the show justice. If any of you plan to watch the series, come back to this video later on and comment your favorite episode. I'd love to hear what you guys really enjoy about the shows. And if you want more reviews like this, make sure you subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I'm trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the month. So if you're subscribed, I would appreciate it if you like and share the video. Anyways, thanks for taking your time to watch this. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all later. Bye bye.